It little profits that an idle king, by this still hearth, among these barren crags, matched with an aged wife, I met and dole unequal laws unto a savage race that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. I cannot rest from travel, I will drink life to Ulysses. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me, and alone, on shore, and when through scudding drifts the rainy Hyades vexed the dim sea. I am become a knave. For always roaming with a hungry heart, much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments.
Myself not least, but honored of them all, and drunk delight of battle with my peers. Far on the ringing plains of windy Troy, I am a part of all that I have met. Yet all experience is an arch wherethrough gleams that untraveled world whose margin fades, forever and forever when I move. How dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust unburnished, not to shine in use. As though to breathe were life, life piled on life, were all too little, and of one to me, little remains. But every hour is saved, from that eternal silence something more, a bringer of new things, and vile it were, for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself, and this grey spirit yearning in desire, to follow knowledge like a sinking star, beyond the utmost bound of human thought.
This is my son, my own Telemachus, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle, well loved of me, discerning to fulfill this labor, by slow prudence to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. Most blameless is he, centered in the sphere of common duties, decent not to fail in offices of tenderness, and pay meet adoration to my household gods when I am gone. He works his work, I mine. There lies the port, the vessel puffs her sail, there gloom the dark, broad seas.
Mariners, souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine and opposed free hearts, free foreheads. You and I are old. Old age hath yet his honor and his toil. Death closes all, but something ere the end, some work of noble note may yet be done, not unbecoming men that strove with gods. The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks, the long day wanes, the slow moon climbs, the deep moans round with many voices. Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off, and sitting well in order, smite the surrounding foes, for my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of the western stars until I die. It may be that the gulls will wash us down. It may be we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are one equal temple of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Before we begin analyzing the poem, let's get to know our author. Alfred Lord Tennyson was born August 6, 1809, at Somersby, Lincolnshire. His father was an abusive and violent alcoholic, but he escaped these troubles by going to Trinity College, Cambridge. He's not, in fact, a lord. It's just his middle name that he uses to sound cool. He met his best friend at Trinity College, Cambridge, Arthur Hallam. Hallam died from illness in 1833. Tennyson was so shocked that his grief led to most of his best poetry, including Ulysses.
The poem has about 4 major turning points throughout. In the beginning, Ulysses has a bit of a melancholy tone and discusses his past experiences as a traveler. This tone kind of spills over into the next section, where he then justifies his thinking that it doesn't profit to be an idle or stagnant king. He then introduces his son, who he believes is going to take over his throne and succeed in life and as a ruler. But he's a little bit dismissive by saying he works his work, I mine, which means something like he does his household chores and can rule his kingdom, but I'm going to be out traveling and experiencing the world. He then brings it home with a call to action and rallies his fellow mariners to go on one last journey before he dies.
The speaker of this poem is Ulysses himself. He is a very outgoing and a very avid traveler, and he does not want to be a king that just sits around and does nothing. The audience of this poem, from in the beginning, it's a silent audience, so we're not sure who he's talking to. But towards the end, it's very clear that he talks to his mariners and he's trying to rally them up for some kind of travel.
Ulysses is in fact Odysseus, the guy we learned about from the Odyssey our freshman year. He's returned home from war almost like a soldier with no purpose. He's stagnant at home and he doesn't know what to do, and he's really unhappy with his life.
That's pretty close, Mitchell, except for that, it's not that he's discontent with his entire life. He's enjoyed his past experiences as a traveler. It's just that now that he's returned home, he's kind of dissatisfied with being idle at the moment and wants to get out there and accomplish more before he dies.
Oh, well, thanks for the clarification, Joe.
No problem.
All right, you two, that's enough fooling around. Let's get back on track. And to wrap all that up, we have a theme for you guys. We came up with old age is no impediment for adventure, and living a stationary life is simply unprogressive.
Tennyson also uses some interesting diction to describe things with words that we normally wouldn't use. For example, he describes his desire to travel as a hungry heart in line 12. Then at the end of the poem, he uses short one-syllable words like time, fate, strong, strive, seek, and yield.
These single-syllable vowel sounds are short and powerful, almost pulling and pushing like the ocean that Ulysses desires to travel. These short, choppy vowel sounds almost contradict the ones he used in the very first part of the poem, such as little, prophets, among, barren. They all kind of go against each other. It's like he was on shore at first, and he was lost, and now he's back at home and he's out to sea in the ocean.
This poem is also written in blank verse, also unrhymed iambic pentameter. This makes it sound more like a monologue or kind of like a speech-like presentation. The sentences of iambic pentameter are also enjambed, which simply add to the fluidity of the monologue and makes everything sound smoother and flows a lot better.
The tone throughout the poem is reflective and bold. He's reflective when he describes how he yearns to travel like he used to and all the good and bad times that he experienced when he was out on sea. Then he becomes very bold when he's discussing his desires to then travel once again with his mariners. He also says very bold statements, such as line 18, I am a part of all that I have met, which is, it means something along the lines of his experiences have shaped him as a person.
There's a lot of imagery in this poem, and to start, we're going to be looking at line 23, to rust unburnished, not to shine in use. And in this line, Ulysses is talking about how it's very senseless and it's very boring not to truly live when he's still alive, and that if you're alive, why not just shine to your fullest potential? And that's what he's trying to do with his time left.
In line 7, Ulysses says he will drink life to the lees. That does not imply that he's a raging alcoholic. It means simply that he will live life to the fullest. The lees are the sedimentary remains at the end of any bottle. This means that Ulysses will drink the most out of it and get the most out of his life.
Later in the poem, he says to his mariners, the long day wanes, the slow moon climbs, the deep moans round with many voices, which is very vivid imagery that he's using to describe how old they're getting, but even though they're getting elderly, they can still go out and travel and experience the rest of the world while they're still alive.
All throughout the poem, Tennyson gives nature these human characteristics, such as in line 55, the long day wanes, the slow moon climbs, and this creates an effect to show how important nature is to Ulysses and how he views them as much importance as he would view another human.
As symbolism, Ulysses describes his people pertaining more to savage qualities rather than human. He says that they hoard, sleep, feed, and know not me, almost meaning that he's above them and separate from the people whom which he rules.
Ulysses uses an allusion when he says that he's leaving his scepter in the isle to his son Telemachus. The scepter and the isle both represent how he is leaving his responsibility to his son when he's going to take over.
Also, in lines 60 through 61, Tennyson says that Ulysses will sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until he dies. This could be the sea-born death that was prophesied to Odysseus in the Odyssey.
But I'm confused. How is Ulysses talking to his mariners when in the Odyssey they all died?
Well, Joseph, that is quite an interesting topic you brought up. Well, we as a group, we don't know if it was Tennyson's fault that he just didn't know the historical background of Ulysses in his life, or if he actually did this on purpose. So right now, take some time to just simply think about if Tennyson did this on purpose, or if it was just at his own fault that he didn't know that the mariners had died.
Okay, to wrap up, Ulysses is actually Odysseus, the guy we learned about freshman year. He's really bored with his life, and he doesn't like being an old guy. He shifts from a silent audience to the mariners. Again, he's reminding us to live our lives to the fullest, like this.
Do the Harlem Shake.
No, but really, he just wants to go on one last adventure with his mariners before he dies.